Hello, everyone. Earlier today, I did my live reaction to Chapter 800. Now I'm personally going to give a review on the same chapter, which I thought was, a 4 out of 5. I don't think it was the best chapter in the world, but I think it was a very big chapter nonetheless. So, let's get off with what basically happened. You have Luffy originally saying no, which is what so many people predicted was going to happen, that Luffy would basically say no. And then somehow everyone in the end would just say, to hell with you, Luffy, we're going to follow you anyways, which was a pretty big event when we're talking about actually what happened on Dressrosa. Okay? So, in the end, Luffy gets his fleet, which is a huge, huge thing. Now, also during this chapter, you saw a fleet suddenly attack Luffy, and you're like, who the heck is this? Is it going to be one of the Yonko? None of the Yonko have actively declared war yet, so that was one of those things that you're like going, what? Same with the Navy, but I mean Leo stitched their ship, so I mean there was no other way. No, it was just a bunch of Don Flamingos, like people who've been supplied by Don Flamingo attacking Luffy, and my man Fujitora throws the rubble from the battlefield right on their actual forces. So basically, Luffy and his men don't even have to lay a finger if they want to. Fujitora took care of him for him, which is awesome. I mean, it shows you how Fujitora basically says, thank you. I mean, and Sengoku heard him, so I mean, that itself is a huge, huge thing. Because now you just had a Navy Admiral thank Luffy for what he did. That's huge. And there was a translation error somewhere where it said 5 million. It could be one of two things. It could have been Luffy actually getting a new bounty of 500 million. Or it could be just them talking about a 5 million belly for Usopp. Who knows? We will find out later. I'm assuming that new bounties will be showing up very soon on One Piece. Probably one of the next couple chapters, you're going to see all new bounties. Heck, we might even see new bounties reissued, because it was just announced during this chapter that we have a Grand Fleet. So you might even see a retraction of Luffy's bounty and maybe a new bounty on top of that. Who knows? We'll see. Which itself is going to be epic because we've been waiting for bounties. A lot of people have been predicting new bounties after this, and it's certainly well-deserved that we're getting new bounties very soon. And even Bartolomeo did a little foreshadowing, too, that the big fish are going to be coming for Luffy. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he took down Don Flamingo, he ended the Smile supplies. So you're probably going to see in the next couple chapters, while they're actually going to Zou, some live reactions to Luffy's Grand Fleet, some new bounties. Certainly you might see some of the Yonko show up in some pictures. You might even see the Big Mom, like, actual person figure happen. Because, I mean, she's supposed to have her tea party sometime. So there's a lot of things that can happen. You're probably going to see Akainu have a fit over Luffy escaping Dressrosa. So you're going to see a lot of stuff probably the next couple of chapters while they're on their way to Zou and meeting up with Sanji and his group. And hopefully they have the whole fleet behind them as they're actually arriving, which I can't wait to see the reaction of the other Straw Hats when they see this huge fleet with Luffy at the helm arriving on the island. That's going to be an amazing situation. As far as like everything else, like I did like the fact I do like the fact that Oda did actually focus on the actual whole events with the Suzuki Cups. I do like that. It was the main focus of this chapter. It had to be the focus of the main chapter. I mean, though, a lot of us would have liked to see a couple more things as far as extra panels of things happening like Big Mom's Tea Party or Bellamy. No one's talking about where's Bellamy. Jinbei. I mean, there's a lot of things that people would have loved to see happen. Instead, we get a panel of Kyros and Rebecca, which, yeah, people don't really want to see Kyros and Rebecca anymore, especially Rebecca. If they could have done without that panel, as far as Rebecca and Kyros, they would have been better off doing something with someone else for those like 3 panels. Even if it was like King Riku basically comparing Dressrosa, Luffy's territory. I mean, that would have been a better panel to me personally. Even if Rebecca and Kyros were there, but I would have rather had that at least over Rebecca and Kyros holding hands and basically being lovey-dovey with each other as father and daughter. So that's basically part of the reason why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. You didn't need to see Kyros and Rebecca. No, not at all. And I love the fact that Bartolomeo was the one to figure out Luffy thinks of being a pirate king is basically free, and all the other subordinates basically loving the fact that he thinks of freedom as what it means to be a pirate king. That makes them respect him more. So they're not thinking that this is basically a situation where they have to give up their freedom to an overlord boss. They respect the fact that he's basically letting them do whatever they want, and they'll support him no matter what, because he's someone you can follow and is a good guy, where most of the other Yonko would basically treat them like crap, and I think they realize that Luffy is a little different than most of the other Yonko. He's gonna be one that treats them with respect and will help them as they help him. So he's not treating it like a he's definitely not treating it like it's like he's forcing it on them. It's not, which they like. Now, as far as off in the future, there's things we definitely have to see now that we basically have Dressrosa finally finished off, and I'm glad that Dressrosa's finished. I mean, it was a great arc. Great arc. I love the fact that they ended it with this big finale with the new fleet. Loved it. It made Dressrosa come all together. Loved it. It was a very long arc, and I would have loved to have a couple less chapters. There's certainly chapters I would have been able to do without, but it was a good arc. One of the better arcs out there, just a little long. Now, I want to see, while they're going to Zou, I do want to see some, as I said, reactions around the world as far as Luffy getting the fleet. I want to see a lot of big things happen. I want to see the bounties. I want to see the bounties. We need to see new bounties. I want to see territories. I really do. That's something I've been saying for my last 2 videos I've done, that I want to see Luffy get territories, and he should get territories. after what he's done. Like, it makes sense. Fishman Island basically was going to make Luffy their boss instead of Big Mom. You have Dressrosa, who's free from Don Flamingo. You have the King of Province also owing debt to Luffy for freeing him. You have Don Sai's Navy's home that is basically the army protecting that country. And you have 5 islands that all received a broadcast of the what happened in, like, where Fujitora basically bowed to Riku, saying that Straw Hat Luffy was responsible for saving the kingdom. So you actually have people realizing what Straw Hat did, and he's not a person who's going to abuse power. As a matter of fact, he's more of a hero than an actual, like, regular pirate, which most of these people are going to be like, this is not a normal pirate. He's not a normal pirate. He's more an adventurer than a pirate, and I think that's why they will respect him. So, yeah, they need to do something with territories in the near future. They definitely need to do something with the Navy. They need Yonko, like, the Yonko to actually make movements. I would have loved to see what happened with Jesus Burgess, because no one showed Burgess getting captured by the Navy. Did he escape the island? I don't know. We know the Don Flamingo family has been arrested, and at some point you might see him haul before the Gorosei. So we'll see what actually happens there. Maybe Don Flamingo gets to keep his warlord title. Maybe. Maybe goes to Impel Down. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe it'll just be something simple like he's now forced to work for them. Maybe they'll make him a Mephisto or something. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of things that could happen as far as Don Flamingo. It's just a intriguing possibility. But I don't think we've seen the last of him or members of his family. I think they're going to be back later on. Maybe in the final war. We'll see. As far as how he finished the chapter, there's a story that will be told later that you haven't heard of. So he's definitely laying reference to the Great War at the end, where all these guys are going to be there at the end helping Luffy. And I foresee these guys helping Luffy throughout some of the chapters. Probably Bartolomeo is going to be one of the more common ones that show up, I would assume. Harujin is definitely going to be gathering up giants, so you're probably going to see some of the other giants that you've seen in the past join forces with them, like Dory, Bragi, Oimu, Koimu. That's definitely something I would speculate. And, I mean, I do think that no matter what, all the forces are actually going to show up on Zou together. Probably meet the rest of the Straw Hats. And somehow I think Nami is going to be the one who deals with the communication of the fleet, considering she's kind of the person who runs the fleet for Luffy. Runs his ship in a way, with Luffy basically saying, whatever. He just wants to be the captain, even though he doesn't really rule the ship like a captain. Nami's kind of like the one who runs it, realistically, with her attitude. So, we'll see what happens. But I'm happy that, as I said, Dressrosa is finally finished. So glad Dressrosa's finished. And we're leading up to Zou, which is going to be I think, short arc. I think it's going to be a very short arc. I would probably put it at the very most 30 chapters. At the very most. And then you're going to get Wano. which I think is going to be a long chapter. Hopefully not as long as Dressrosa. Please, not as long as Dressrosa. I don't think we need another long chapter like Dressrosa. Except the final arc. That's the only arc that I agree needs to be long. The final arc. But we needed to have this chapter, and we needed this chapter to happen with the fleet. Now we need to see all the repercussions. And we need to see what happens to, as we said, what the heck's going on with Bellamy? Where is Bellamy? He's not really been shown since the fleeing of Dressrosa. And we know Jinbei's on the way, so what's going to happen? Is Jinbei basically going to arrive island after island trying to chase after Straw Hat Luffy and just catch up to him later on? Yeah, we need to have him catch up to him somehow, someplace. Because we know he's going to be a new Straw Hat. They might even be holding off Bellamy, showing Bellamy, because Bellamy, for all intents and purposes, is probably going to be a Straw Hat or a member of Lost Crew, one of the two. I think they're going to have Jinbei join very soon, to be completely honest, because that needs to happen. Absolutely, Jinbei needs to join. It's been foreshadowed. There's enough things about it that we need to just have it happen. And Bellamy, we need his fate decided as far as what he's going to do, whether he's joining us as a subordinate of Luffy or going off on his own, doing whatever he wants, and giving up piracy, or heck, becoming a person under Luffy. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. There's just so many things that we need to see happen. And I think you're probably going to have 3 to 4 chapters about what happens between now and Zao, I would guess. Just to figure out some stuff with the reactions. Like, you're going to have a reaction chapter, you're going to have a bounty chapter, then you're definitely going to have an arrival chapter. You might even have a chapter where you see Sanji, and then you're going to have, as soon as they see Sanji, and as long as it's in a safe situation, they're going to show all the stuff that happened to Sanji and his forces while he was basically leaving Dressrosa. So you're probably going to have a little background of what happened with him and Big Mom. Probably a coup de burst to escape. I don't think you're going to see him actually fighting Big Mom's men, but, we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if he announced a counterattack and Chopper, Nami, and Brook basically do the coup de burst while he was basically trying to go after them. It wouldn't surprise me if they just did that right away. Because I don't think they would want to fight if only Sanji was there. Knowing them, they're a little bit cowardly, so yeah, I think that's probably what happened. They just used the coup de burst. Even though Sanji is really the person who would have been in charge of the situation, I think he realizes he could not have taken an entire army on his own, especially commanders of Yonkos, on his own. It would have been too much. I don't think he could have taken Peckham's and Tamago on his own. Maybe if Zoro was with him, yes, but not on his own. So we'll see what that happens in the near future. So all in all, good chapter. I love the fact that they're foreshadowing things to happen in the future. And I'm looking forward to see what happens in the next couple chapters. Like I said, it's probably going to be some things that you're going to see where you get the bounties, you get the new like reactions of the fleets. You're gonna see a lot of things happen. Heck, you might even see 2 sets of bounties. Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me because they announced 500 million. In a way, it could have been Luffy's new bounty, or it could have been as I said, Usopp's Don Flamingo bounty. Who knows? We'll see. It's interesting to see what will happen. I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens in the next chapter. Because it's this whole like little area around 800 is going to be a big amount of information load, and then you're going to see some new stuff happen on Zou, which is going to be very interesting. All in all, I'm predicting a very short arc. Like I said, probably less than 30 chapters. That's the most I could see happen here. Hopefully less, because I think we really need to get to Wano. And I think you're going to see the final samurai with Luffy showing up, because that was foreshadowed with Sanji. You might even see a couple interesting things, like fights with some of Kaido's forces, or Kaido's forces just fleeing at the sight of that big fleet. Who knows? So, Luffy's arrived. He's definitely a major player in the New World now. A major player. So we'll see what happens with them. The 7th Shichibukai, who people are predicting is Jack. I think he's going to be probably the villain you see before the actual Yonko fights. I think he's going to be that unit, that guy. You might see the villains of the next arc be some of the allies of some of the Yonko, or heck, maybe Kid, or maybe some of the subordinates of some of the Yonko. More likely Kaido. So we'll see. I do want to see the new villain. It'd be nice for a change if it isn't someone like one of the Shichibukai, because we get a lot of Shichibukai villains. I want to see Yonko villains, or subordinates of Yonkos be the villains. I do want to see the Navy finally become a villain, because at some point Suzuki needs to go down. But that's going to be probably the last chapter where you see the end of the government. As it is. Probably the Gorosei are going to be the ultimate villain. That's, again, my prediction. The Gorosei are the final villains of One Piece. Not Blackbeard, not Akainu, the Gorosei. The Gorosei are going to be the final villains. Okay, so please rate your review. Tell me what you think. Let me know, okay? Thank you.